Right guys, welcome back to the channel and to this Drukhari Codex review slash army review slash vlog. What is it?
Everything.
Everything Drukhari. So, they were known as Dark Eldar previously, and they're one of your favourite armies.
Very, very, very close second.
Behind Harlequins.
Yep.
Which will be coming very soon. So, I hope you do enjoy these Codex reviews, slash army reviews and so forth. I'm really excited about everything that's been going on with the Dark Eldar. Everything is looking so good. When Chapter Approved came out before Christmas, and I saw that there was 3 Warlord Traits, 3 things, I said to you, I hope they don't split the faction up into 3 separate smaller factions.
Yeah.
They have done that. But there is still other units you can take without breaking allegiance, of course. And the way that they've done it is quite unique, and I didn't think about this at all. Now, normally you would have to build a battalion, which is 3 troops and 2 HQs. But obviously if you take a Succubus and an Archon, you've got a Witch Cult and a Cavalite, which breaks your allegiance and you won't get the buffs. So, what they've done, they have a special rule called Raiding Force, where if you build 3 Drukhari Patrol detachments, which is a HQ and 1 troop, and you can take up to 2 of each of the other slots, you actually get 4 command points. So essentially, for the tax of 1 extra HQ over a battalion, you get an extra command point.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take 3 patrol detachments, you instantly got 7 command points. Now, it's very, very handy because you can run a Witch Cult of 1 detachment. You can run a Cavalite one, you can run a Homunculus one. You can mix and match as it sees fit. If you take 6 patrol detachments, you gain 8 command points instead. So really, there's only, that's the equivalent of running a brigade, which is the massive one where you need 3 of each and 6 troops.
Yep.
But when you look at the Warhammer 40,000 rulebook, a recommended number of detachments for a 2,000 point game is 3. And most tournaments limit it to 3 detachments. With this new special rule, you could quite easily build 6 detachments because it's literally a 40 point warrior squad. In fact, it's not even 40 points anymore, it's 30 points. And I think the cheapest HQ, well, an Archon's 70 points now. So for 100 points, you can have an entire detachment.
Yeah. I can see why they've limited them.
Well, I think tournaments are going to have, they may still enforce the limit and then say, well, a maximum of 6 for Drukhari players.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise you're going to struggle to generate command points for Dark Eldar. Drukhari. Because obviously, Guard and Tau especially, I mean, when we played the Apocalypse game, we built a double brigade.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? That was 21 command points off the belt. Drukhari are really, really going to struggle to build that. 2 Archons and 3 units of warriors, maybe. But, yeah, I think building at minimum 1 or the other of something's still going to be very difficult to get. So that's their unique rules. Now, dividing the Drukhari up into 3 sub-factions essentially means that you've got 10 sets of rules, depending on whether you want to play Cabal, Witch Cult, or Covens. Each one is very, very themed, and we're going to have a quick look at each of the different ones that you can actually follow. So we're going to start with the Cabalites. We'll have a look through these, the Witch Cults, the Covens, the Mercenaries, which is what's left over, and then have a look through the stratagems. So, for Cabalites, we've got 4 Cabals that you can follow. So first of all, we've got Cabal of the Black Heart, which is Azdrabale Vekt's own Cabal. And I almost bought Vekt the other day. We found him on eBay for 59 quid.
Yep.
Almost, but can't justify it, unfortunately. Before I do go over this though, actually, points costs have dropped immensely for everything. So the battle report that's up to date, I built that in Battlescribe just so I could keep track of what I was using. And the points, Lucy, were 2,473.
Wow.
But new points, it's 1968.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's how much Dark Eldar have come down in points.
It's big.
It's big. It's big, people. Sorry, I couldn't resist it. So anyway, Cabal of the Black Heart. Now, I first saw this one and I thought, right, so you count the power from pain table as being one higher. It's okay.
It is very handy for rounds 1 and 2.
Again, I would argue maybe not, because I don't think power from pain is great for Cabalites. Other than your 6-up feel no pain.
Yeah, ignore me, I thought it was other stuff.
It's useful, it's handy, but where this one really shines is that if units don't have power from pain, they gain immune to suffering, which is the feel no pain.
Yeah.
Which means Raiders, Ravages, Flyers are now getting power from pain. In fact, do the Flyers actually have the Cabal keyword? Because if they don't, then they won't get it. Just flicking. Yeah, you can have Cabal or Witch Cult for the keyword. Obviously, you probably want to go Cabal because then you get their bonuses. So obviously, 6-up feel no pain on all your vehicles is very, very handy bonus. And of course, you can take 2 Flyers in a patrol detachment, so you know you can still get 2 Razor Wings in there. So I do like that one. The next one that we've got is Cabal of the Poisoned Tongue. You can reroll wound rolls of a 1 mid for melee and poisoned weapons by models with this obsession. Doesn't apply to artifacts of cruelty. So basically, all them poison shots that you're pumping out,
yep.
Any attack in combat, reroll 1s. It's handy considering you're wounding on 4s, and then you get the reroll 1s. But I think you're going to see the next one and Cabal of the Black Heart the most. I think you might see the Poison Tongue a little bit. Let's have a look. So the next one is Cabal of the Flayed Skull. And this is the one I think you'll probably see the most combined with the Black Heart. Now, Lawrence used this on Tabletop Tactics to great effect. And you get a lot of bang for your buck with this. So, add 3 inches to the move characteristic of all models with this obsession that can fly.
Saying now, I just don't find that useful.
It's not, but when you've suddenly got Venoms and Raiders moving an extra 3 inches, that's a 19-inch move on your Venom, Lucy.
I know, but I don't know. I've never been one for adding stuff to movements and whatnot.
No, but that's not why you take this one. In addition, units do not receive the benefit to their saving throws for being in cover from attacks made by this obsession that can fly. You might think, well, it's okay. 2-up Space Marines in cover, right? And all them poison shots, and you're waiting desperately for your opponent to roll 1s. All of a sudden, they haven't got the 2-up, they've just got the 3-up armor save.
Yeah.
It's handy. It's not amazing, but it's very handy.
Yep.
In addition to that, any unit that flies, or any unit that is embarked on a transport that can fly, when they shoot, they can reroll 1s to hit when firing with rapid fire weapons.
That's good.
That's very good. And I do like it a lot because Splinter Axe is back for Raiders. And what it means is them 10 guys that you've got inside of your Raider rapid firing out with the Splinter Rifles, you're hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s.
Yeah.
Your Venoms with Splinter Cannons, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s.
Yep.
That in itself is big. Obviously then they're ignoring cover. The extra 3 inches is a bonus. I think you get a lot for that.
Yeah.
It's very handy. It's very manoeuvrable.
I thought it was just the extra 3 inches. I didn't realise you got all that extra.
You get all of that. I do like this, and to be honest, I would probably play this, but there's a couple of artifacts and stratagems which only the Cabal of the Black Heart can use, and I think that puts them just a little bit ahead. The final one is the Cabal of the Obsidian Roars. The range characteristic of all assault, rapid fire, and heavy weapons used by units with this obsession is increased by 6.
That could be useful.
Yeah, it does mean that, of course, you've got a longer range Dark Lance. You've got a range 42 Dark Lance. You've got a range, is it 42? Yeah, 42 Venoms with the Splinter Cannons. And, of course, you've got range 30 Splinter Rifles. And you know what range 30 Tau Fire Warriors are like. So, very, very handy. I think a lot of them are very, very themed. And I think they're pretty cool. But that's only 4 of 10. Yep, 10. So we've then got 3 witch cults that you can look at as well. And again, they've gone kind of fluff heavy. So first of all, you've got the Cult of the Cursed Blade. Increase the strength characteristic of models with this obsession by 1. In addition, if a unit with this obsession fails a morale test, only 1 model runs.
That's good.
That's good. That's kind of a throwback to Iandon for Eldar, because only 1 model runs from them. Kind of handy, and you know, who doesn't love strength 4 witches, Lucy?
Yeah.
Because then it means at least you're not wounded on 5s against Marines. It's 4s.
I love witches.
Combine that with +1 strength combat drug, means you've got a strength 5 witch.
And double the...
Yep, you could
drugs.
use the double the drug stratagem to get them to strength 6. Nasty. Run Hellions with that. You can get Hellions up to strength 7. Because their weapon is +1. +1 for that makes them 5. +1 combat drug makes them 6. Double makes them strength 7. That's scary. Yeah. It does mean that obviously you're wounding on average 25% better. Which, you know, it's a lot to take in. The Cult of Strife is next, which is Lilith's very own cult.
Yay.
Increase the attack characteristic of models with this obsession by 1 in a turn in which they were charged. Charge, make or make a heroic intervention. So if you receive a charge, make a charge, or do an heroic intervention, you get +1 attack.
Nice.
So again, combine this with witches with the +1 attack, because witches now have more attacks. So you're looking at 3 base with a Hecatrite Blade, +1 for that makes 4, +1 for combat drugs makes 5, doubled makes 6 attacks each with witches.
Ouch.
Oh,
imagine the dice in your hands.
On the subject of witches, they change quite a lot, which we'll get to very soon. But very, very viable. And of course, Games Workshop now made them direct only, so you can't order them from your friendly local gaming store anymore.
Shock.
Because they know people are going to rush out and buy them because they've been bad for so long. And lastly, the third one, and I think possibly the best one, Cult of the Red Grief. Units with this obsession can charge in the same turn in which they advanced. In addition, you can re-roll the failed charges. It makes normal witches almost as fast as Harlequins.
Yeah.
I think they've got 1 inch less movement. I think Harlequins move 8 or 9 and these move... Harlequins move 8.
Yep.
So I think that witches move 7. Because normal elf. Let me just double check. Nope, they move 8. Yep, witches move 8. Which is fantastic. So you still got to roll for it, but you know, you're reliably going to get over a 10-inch movement, and then you've got your 2d6 re-roll and charge. There's other things. There's other things which, with the Cult of Red Grief, are better. Reavers and Hellions are both back in a very big way. For example, Reavers now move 18 inches, Lucy. which is the Dark Eldar jet bikes.
Yeah.
A little bit quicker than Harlequin bikes now,
Mm-hmm.
which they should be. They're a lot sleeker. They haven't got 2 riders. But they automatically advance 8 inches.
That's good.
Which means a 26-inch move, followed by a re-rollable charge. And of course, if you take blasters or heat lancers, they are assault weapons and you can still shoot with them. Now, I'm not going to go too much into it here, but it makes you think, right, if Dark Eldar are getting this kind of bonus, right, and Harlequins can already do this,
Yeah.
what are Harlequins going to get?
They're either gonna go wow or gonna go wow. You haven't done a thing.
Yeah, so Harlequins are going to hit hard when they come out. And of course, they're not going to be long. We know they're one of the next 3 codexes. And of course, Hellions as well, I think, are going to be back in a big, big way as well. And lastly, we have the Covens, the Flesh Courts. When I find it. There we go. So you've got 3, well, 1 very iconic Coven and 2 of the other pretty well named ones. So you've got Prophets of Flesh, which is Eurion Rocca's very own Coven. Of course, he is the master homunculus. So I discussed this with Lucy when this came out on the community page, right? As to which one was better, this one or one of the other ones. And you prefer this one, don't you?
Yeah.
So, Prophets of Flesh, Insensible to Pain ability, which is a 5 invulnerable, is increased to a 4+. That means you've got Rax, Grotesque, Talus, all with a 4+ invulnerable save.
Yep, and who wouldn't want that?
It's very good. Just watch out for mortal wounds. You've then got the Dark Creed. Now, I want to like this, and I like where they're going because I used to leadership bomb a lot in 7th. You wouldn't have understood it too much, but kind of similar to Battle Shock. But you could wipe out a whole unit by overrunning them, and I would get somebody at like -6 leadership, force them to take a leadership check in combat, for example, and then I would overrun them. Destroying the entire unit in one go, combined with like Psychic Shriek. It's like Arcane Bolt, but it worked against leadership.
Right.
And Mirror of Minds for Harlequins. You know, I really, really used to go after people's leaderships in 7th when I played, and I want to like this so bad because you subtract 1 from the enemy's leadership for each unit with this obsession that is within 6. Up to a maximum of -3. So you can, it specifically states you can stack that, one of the rare exceptions that you can stack. There is other things that you can do, and then of course there's the Phantasm grenade launcher and stuff as well. But there's so many things that leadership becomes irrelevant now in 8th. For example, Tyranids are immune.
Every single unit.
Whilst they're within synapse. So if Phil took 30 little beasties against me, doesn't take morale on them whilst he's within 12 inches of one of the big ones.
Yeah, and we've just read that
the Witch Cult, only 1 move run. And there's quite a lot that are fearless. I can't remember off the top of my head, but then there's the Iandan, only 1 runs for Eldar. So whilst I want to like it, it's never going to be seen. Nobody is going to play this. The other one that I think is quite good is the Coven of 12. Improve the armor penetration characteristic of all melee weapons by 1.
That's good.
It's very good when you combine it with Grotesques because they've changed now. They've got a little bit more AP, which means that with this, your Grotesques are -3.
Oh.
Yeah. Talus also changed and they would also again benefit from this. And I think having -3 on your combat weapons of guys that want to be in combat, I think that's better than the 4+ invulnerable. Lucy prefers the 4+ invulnerable. I can see merits for both. So that is the 10, I don't even know what they're called, factions within Drukhari. Let's have a look through the stratagems and warlord traits though. Right, so stratagems, a whole host of stratagems available here, and the amount of combos that you can pull off in the Drukhari book is great. I do like a lot of these stratagems. I think 1 or 2 are a little bit overcosted, but I think a lot of them are very fluffy, and some of them are, you know, quite good. So we've got Webway Portal, which is from chapter approved. We all know what it does. I don't need to go over it. We do have, however, Alliance of Agony, and I like this one. 1 command point. If your warlord is an Archon, choose up to 1 Succubus and up to 1 Homunculus from your army. They each get a warlord trait.
That's brilliant.
Conveniently, Lucy, one of the Homunculus Covenant warlord traits is generate D3 additional command points. Oh look, it's just cost me nothing to potentially get an extra 1 or 2 command points.
Yep.
Brilliant. And then of course, you know, if you've got a Succubus as well, you know, buffing a Succubus to do a little bit more damage or hit a bit better in combat is good. I think this, if you've got an Archon and a Homunculus, this is going to be an auto use.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Next up, we've got Architects of Pain. It's 1 command point. Pick a unit at the start of the battle round and treat its power from Pain table as being 1 higher. If you are charging on, is it turn 3 you get +1 to hit? Yeah, so turn 3 is +1 to hit, right? If you've got almost a guaranteed charge on turn 2 with a group of 3 Talus or 6 Grots, you're gonna use that because you're gonna want that +1 to hit, aren't you? Because it's gonna make a massive difference being able to get it that little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, Cabal of the Black Heart gets it, but you don't necessarily. I don't think you would use it on them. I think with this one, you're gonna use it on your witch cults to get the +1 to hit, and you're gonna use it on your homunculus stuff to get your +1 to hit on turn 2.
Unless you love your Talus. Like me.
Next up, you've got Haywire Grenade. Much like a lot of the other codexes, they've got a way of being able to dish out mortal wounds. So Space Marines have heavy bolters or whatever the missile is, flak missiles. Tau have Haywire Grenades, which we used. Drukhari get it. Haywire Grenade, anybody who chucks a plasma grenade basically at a vehicle, if they hit, they score D3 mortal wounds on a vehicle. It's handy because I don't think Dark Eldar have that much of a mortal wound output beyond covering stuff in combat.
Yeah, I haven't seen any. Like, lots.
No. Next up, we've got Lightning Fast Reflexes. 2 command points. I like it. I think 2 is... it's a lot. Bearing in mind, you're reliably going to have 7 to 8 command points. 2 is a quarter of that.
Unless you hit your wall to get 3 back.
That's the thing. There's also another Warlord trait which can help out as well. It's handy if you're desperate to keep a big unit alive. You can use it on a vehicle, biker or infantry, but not Homunculus Covenant units. The idea being they're a little bit tougher. And whoever targets it for the phase is -1 to hit. Notice it's phase though, so if you, for example, I know Lawrence used this on a unit of 12 Reaver jet bikes when Bone shot at him. If Bone then charged the Reavers, he wouldn't suffer the -1. So it's only for the phase, not the battle round. It's good, it might keep you alive. I think paired with Cabal of the Black Heart, if you need to keep your Razor Wing alive, for example, It's got -1 naturally, but a lot of stuff has +1 against flyers.
Yeah.
You can use this to get a further -1, and then you've got your save and your 6-up feel no pain. I think it's decent. I just think 2 command points is... I think 1's too cheap. I think 2's a little bit steep. There's no middle. Do you know what I mean? Next up, we've got prizes from the Dark City. Every Codex has got this. Basically, for 1 command point, you can take an extra relic. For 3 command points, you can take an extra 2 relics.
So something like that in Sigma would be worth it.
Yeah, it's called Pain for Battalions. Next up, we've got Eviscerating Flyby. I like this. Okay, so it's 1 command point when a witch cult with the fly keyword advances. So you have to advance to use it. You have to have fly, which means Hellions or Reavers are your best bet. Okay? You can do it with Raiders and Venoms, but it's not going to be as effective. If you move over an enemy unit with this move, roll a d6 for each model in your unit, adding 1 to the result if the enemy picked as an infantry unit. On a 6+, the enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. So if you've got 20 Hellions that move over a tank, you roll 20 dice, and for each 6 takes a mortal wound.
But who's going to run a unit of 20?
You.
Am I?
In the battle report.
Am I?
Yes. 20 Hellions advancing over, and of course if you run that with a Cabal, with the Cult of the Red Grief, you can charge. And because Hellions have assault weapons, you can still shoot at -1. So if you don't kill the unit, you can then shoot at it, and if you still don't kill it, you can charge it. Yeah.
Just to make sure they're gone. Hey, it'd be good against, say, a big monster.
Yep, it's handy to get the extra damage in, and then of course the poison weapons mean you're wounding on a 4s. It's very competitive. I think it's decent with Reavers. Reavers have got a much further move, but they've only got 1 in 3 assault weapons. I think that one, you're going to see people use that a lot, combined with the Cult of Red Grief.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Fleshcraft. A homunculus can heal a monster for D3 wounds. It's mostly 2 command points with other armies, like the Tyranid one is 2 command points.
Yep.
This is 1 command point.
But what monsters have Dark God?
Talus and Chronos.
They're monsters?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Oh well.
Yeah. So you can heal a Talus or Chronos for D3 wounds for 1 command point.
Yeah, but Talus have, what, 7 wounds?
6, if I remember right. It's been a while since we used them, because we knew the Codex was coming from January, so we haven't used them. Yeah, 7 wounds.
Yep.
So if they get through the 4-up Invine, if they get through the 6-up Feel No Pain.
But, like, a monster from, like, a... Oh, God, I can't remember what I'm trying to think, but it had, like, 12 wounds.
If it's got the monster keyword, it's still a monster.
I know, but he's saying it's, like, mostly in other armies this is 2 command points, where the Drukhari it's only 1. But the monsters in Drukhari have got a lot less wounds than others.
Right, I think I know what you're getting at. You mean the degrade table?
Yes.
So obviously if it puts them back up the next bracket, it's absolutely worth it. That's why it's 1 command point then.
Exactly, see? That's what I was trying to say. But as well, a Drukhari monster has got a lot less wounds than others.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's a lot cheaper. Like 1 command point cheaper.
Yeah, especially like when you consider Riptides have got stim injectors. You know, if you've dropped down with Riptide, the next bracket you're hitting on 5s, you need him back up to hitting on 4s. You're going to use it. It's worth 2 command points. In this instance, 1 command point, I think it's fair if you're about to lose 1 of the unit. It's quite reasonable to try and keep it alive a bit longer.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Fire and Fade, which is actually an Eldar one as well. So we're sharing this with our Craft World cousins, and it's not bad. It's not bad. So for 1 command point, a Drukhari unit can move up to 7 inches after shooting.
That's good.
But it cannot charge.
It's good for objection grabbers.
It's very good for objection grabbers, and if you're just out of range of shooting, you move forward, you shoot, you jump back onto the objective, or out of line of sight if you've got big buildings.
Mm-hmm.
It's handy, it's very situational, but protects the unit.
Yep.
Next up, you've got Cruel Deception, 2 command points. Used if a Drukhari unit in your army falls back. If it does so, it can still shoot and charge this turn.
I like that.
Very handy for witches.
Yep.
Helions, not so much, because obviously they can still shoot. And of course, Reavers can still shoot as well due to fly. But I think that's great for witches. You know, they've still got splinter pistols.
Yep.
They can still do a few wounds, but then charging back in is very handy. Actually, Drukhari unit, there's some better units that I think this would work on. And one of them is the Mandrakes, because they're vastly improved.
I've never used them before.
Nope. But by the time people watch this, you will have.
Yes.
So, next up we've got the Great Enemy, Lucy. For 1 command point, you can reroll failed wound rolls in the fight phase when fighting a Slaanesh unit.
Let's skip this one.
Of course, you will see Lucy Slaanesh soon. You're close to 2,000 points.
But not in 40k.
No. Actually, you are.
No, I'm not playing them in 40k, at least for another 6 months. I haven't even looked properly at the rules for Sigma.
Yeah, but still, you can expect to see them soon for Sigma.
Yes.
Next up, we've got Release the Beasts. This is quite themed. It's good in the situation. So, Beastmasters and Beasts have changed, which we'll get to. But it's 1 command point used at the start of your charge phase. Choose a Beastmaster. Any Drukhari beast units within 6 of him can reroll failed charges for that charge phase. So it's like Release the Hounds, isn't it, from the Tower one? For the Crude Hounds. They've just changed the name of it. It's handy.
They've done a lot of that.
It's handy because Beastmasters and Beasts are actually decent. Next up, we've got a Hypersthene Backlash. I like this one. It doubles the effect of your combat drug.
Yes.
For the whole battle round, not just
Phase or turn.
It's a whole battle round, so you use it at the start of a battle round. So if you know your witch unit is going to get charged or is going to get shot at by bolter fire, for example, bolters would normally wound on a 3. Oh look, bang, +1 extra. I'm thinking I'm going for toughness there. Yeah, that's an example. So say you took the +1 toughness, bolters are wounding on 4s, bang, double that. Suddenly I'm toughness 5. I'm going to charge into another unit, and you know I can weather the storm with toughness 5, 4 invulnerable on witches, and then 6 will feel no pain. Even what we said earlier about the attacks, it's very good.
Yep.
It's 2 command points.
It's worth it.
It's worth it on a big unit. Absolutely on a big unit. The drawback is at the end of the battle round, roll a dice for every model left. And on the roll of a 1, they're slain.
Yeah.
So it's like getting out of a vehicle. But if you
We all
absolutely...
know how good you are at that.
Oh, 2 and 3 1s on a 5-man unit. If you absolutely have to survive or destroy a unit or take that objective, this is worth popping.
Definitely.
Next up, we've got Screaming Jets. If you don't use the Webway Portal stratagem, which is for an infantry or biker unit, you can put a vehicle that can fly in reserve.
It's good, but with the all the we've just read them all about extreme movements, not.
You would lose some of it, I think, but I think protecting a Ravager, for example, keeping it off the board if your opponent's going first, I think it's handy. It's only 1 command point and it is useful. Next up, we've got Freakish Spectacle, which used to be a rule for Coven stuff. This is the example I said about the was it Coven of 12? The other one, I can't remember it. 1 command point. Use this when an enemy unit fails a morale test within 6 of a Homunculus Covenant unit. 1 additional model flees.
How many is that?
1 command point. I think it purely depends what you're fighting, right?
Yeah.
So, if it's a big squad and you're trying to make them run, they're at -3, you beat them down, they fail the morale test and it leaves 1, bang, there you go.
Yep.
There's the extra 1 gone, unit destroyed.
When can you do that?
After they've failed the morale test. So you can choose to use it then. Or, I think it's going to be it's harder to pull off against Marines because they get re-roll morale checks anyway. But if you do that to a Marine, for example, there's 3 left, 2 run, bang, 1 command point to get rid of like a Primaris Marine or something.
Yeah.
Or a Terminator, really, really good 1 command point.
Can you choose which other one goes?
No. It's not a Death Jester, unfortunately. Wish it was. It would be very handy. Next up, we've got the Torturer's Craft. 2 command points. Used when a Homunculus Covenant unit fights in the fight phase. You can reroll failed wound rolls.
Nice.
Combine that with the counters being 1 turn ahead on power from pain. You get that Grotesque unit charging on turn 2, right? +1 to hit, rerolling all failed wounds.
Yeah.
And then if you ran with the -1 AP.
I think this one's going to be one of the most used.
If you play Covens, that is absolutely going to be used almost all the time. Imagine doing that with your Talus as well. A unit of 3 Talus comes hurtling in, hitting on 2s, probably wounding on 3s, re-rolling at -3 AP for 2 damage a pop.
Bye-bye enemy unit.
Pretty much, and they're at strength 6 or 7 as well. So not bad at all. Situational, again, I think if you absolutely need to take something out, that one combined with the other one is absolutely worth it. The next one, very, very themed. I do like it, but it's incredibly situational. Pray they don't take them alive. 1 command point. Used if an enemy unit in your army slays the enemy warlord in the fight phase. For the remainder of the battle, every enemy model subtracts 1 from their leadership.
Yeah.
Incredibly situational, very thematic. Next up, we've got Soul Trap, and it was my favourite piece of war gear from 7th. 1 command point, used when an Archon from your army kills an enemy character in the fight phase. Increase the attack, strength, and leadership of the Archon by 1 for the rest of the game. Situational.
Exactly.
Enhanced Aether Sails, used on a Raider or Ravager, and add 8 inches to its move when you advance.
That's handy.
So imagine you've got that extra 3-inch move, and then all of a sudden you're advancing an extra 8 inches with that Ravager, and then of course your Dark Lancers you're still shooting because the count as assault weapons on vehicles at range 36. It's good. Of course, if you advance that, I think you can still fire out the Raider. So you're going to get your Cabalites within rapid fire range as well. For 1 command point, it's useful.
Yeah.
It's like having that posi screwdriver in your toolbox. You don't always need it, but when you need it, it's there. Next up, we've got Onslaught. This is for Incubi. Basically, 1 command point. Any hit rolls of a 6 count as 2 hits.
Nice.
Again, situational, pretty efficient, but you've got to run Incubi to use it. Next up is Crucible of Malediction. It's 2 command points. Select a homunculus from your army and use it in your psychic phase. Dark Eldar, although they have a psychic phase, nothing happens in it.
No, because they do not trust psychers.
They don't. You've been reading your fluff?
No.
Just listening.
Yes.
Fair enough. Roll a d6 for each enemy Psyche unit within 12 of the homunculus. On a 4+, the unit being rolled for suffers d3 mortal wounds. So, let's plan this out, right? 2 command points. It's not cheap. You've got to have Psychers within 12 of your monk. Which you don't really want anyway.
No.
Maybe if you've got one up there behind the Grotesques and stuff, then you've got to roll for the enemy Psyker, and then you've got to roll a 4+ after you've already spent the 2 command points. to do D3 mortal wounds, which means you've got to roll again, which means you might spend 2 command points to do nothing or 1 mortal wound.
Yep. And then again, this is only going to be useful later in the game, which you're going to have less and less command points.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is easily a turn 3 or 4 stratagem.
By that time, because there is so many good ones you can choose to spend your command points on, I really can't see that ever being used.
No, unless you're playing against like Tyranids and you've got 7 flying hive tyrants around you, like what you would have had at Adepticon. Torment Grenades, 1 command point, used before a model fires a Phantasm Grenade Launcher. If you hit, roll 3d6 for the effects. If it's higher than the enemy's leadership, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. Again, that's handy. So obviously, if you've got -3 for running the Covenant thing,
yeah,
and then 1 command point with the Phantasm Grenade Launcher means that 3d6 over the leadership, you're gonna cause wounds pretty easily with that. So fun, but maybe not that efficient. We've also got some what they're called, relics. Okay. So, Parasite's Kiss replaces a model Splinter Pistol. It's 2 shots, poison 2+ versus non-vehicles, -2, 2 damage. And for each enemy model killed, you regain 1 lost wound.
Like it a
Pretty
lot.
handy. Pretty handy. Again,
But
reasonably situational.
quite powerful as well, so maybe...
Next up, we've got the Jin Blade. And it's like that series of books that you read, the Weather Wardens. It's spelt Jin, like that. So, replaces an Archon's Husk Blade. It's +1 strength, -3 AP, D3 damage. The bearer gets +2 attacks, but at the end of the fight phase, roll a D6, and on a 1, the bearer suffers a mortal wound. So you may take a mortal wound, but you get an extra 2 attacks, -3 AP, and +1 strength. It's handy. But there's other stuff that you probably want to take, and to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if you spend a command point to take an extra relic. Next up is the Helm of Spite. Basically, it allows the bearer to deny the witch. And if you do deny the witch, the enemy psyker suffers at perils of the war.
No.
So, it's pretty handy considering Dark Eldar don't have access to psykers.
Yeah.
So they've still got a little bit of a defense against it.
I like that a lot.
Nightmare Doll gives a homunculus a 4+ inuit to suffering, normally a 6+, so he gets a 4, feel no pain. That's pretty handy compared to what it was. In fact, that's very good.
Yeah.
I like that. Almost tempted to spend an extra command point to take that one, actually. The Animus Vitae, nowhere near like what it used to be. It used to count units as being +1 on power from pain. It's a 6-inch grenade, 1 use only. If it hits, it does D3 mortal wounds. If it kills anything, then the rest of the game friendly units within 6 of the bearer count their power from pain as being 1 turn higher than it is. It's kind of like what it was, because it was a Fleshbane AP2 shot before. Too short of a range though. You're not going to be throwing this until like turn 2, turn 3. Yeah. It's good, but... Next up, we've got the Triptych Whip. Replaces the Succubus Agonizer. It's AP -2, +1 damage, but it's +3 attacks.
Wow.
Succubuses need more attacks still. This gets them 3 more. Combine that with the Warlord trait, where if you roll a 6,
Does 2 extra.
it does 2 extra. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. There is also one more that it hasn't been revealed by the community, but I think this is the way to go, okay? And this is why one of the 2 reasons I would choose the Cabal of the Black Heart over the Flayed Skull. And it's called, I can't find it now, something Withering. And what it does, for an Archon, it allows Cabal units within 6 inches to reroll once to wound.
Yep.
Bearing in mind an Archon now allows reroll hit rolls of a 1. What 2 models are you going to put next to your Archon, Lucy?
Gee, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I fully expect her to stick 2 Ravages next to it.
No.
That is one of the 2 reasons. So, let's have a quick look at some of the Warlord traits. Okay guys, so Warlord traits. Now, this is split up into 3 parts, much like what the Harlequins were in 7th edition. And Lucy's dropping some models. So you've got your Cabal Warlord traits, you've got your Witch Cult Warlord traits, and your Homunculus Covenant Warlord traits. I'm only going to cover the general ones and the one that I think's the best here rather than all of them. So, the Cabal Warlord traits, you reroll wound rolls for this Warlord. That's just him. So, you know, an Archon rerolling wounds isn't bad. Soul Thirst, add 1 to the Warlord's attack characteristic in a turn in which they were charged, or heroic interventioned. In addition, the Warlord regains 1 lost wound each time they slay an enemy model in the fight phase. So an Archon going after some Marines, for example, on 1 wound, he's probably going to get back up to full health. That's handy. I like it. Ancient Evil, the opposing player must roll an extra dice when taking morale tests for units within 3 of the Warlord and use the highest roll. That, combined with the Leadership Bomb, combined with the Stratagem, is very, very handy. Witch Cult Warlord traits. Quicksilver Fighter. The Warlord always fights first. Basically becomes Slanesh. You know the whole rule, and you alternate if your opponent's got charging models.
But Slanesh always count as charged. Having charged.
Yep, so obviously if I charge 6 units at Lucy's Slanesh, we alternate. Because we both charged.
Yep.
Stim Addict. Before the battle, when determining the bonus this Warlord receives from combat drugs, roll 2 dice instead and apply both results. Alternatively, you can pick 2 different bonuses to apply to this Warlord. That is actually quite handy.
Yeah, very indeed.
And then you've got Precision Blows. Each time you roll a wound roll of a 6+ for this Warlord in the fight phase, the target suffers a mortal wound in addition to normal damage. I think that one's handy. I think Stim Addict's quite good.
The second from last one you've just read there, that one was very, very good, I think.
What, the one with 2 combat drugs?
Yeah.
Oh, imagine using the stratagem to double the effect of combat drugs. Oh my word. And then take that that whip as well. I think you're going to see a lot of very, very Dark Eldar armies. I think competitively you're going to see a lot of the reroll ones to hit Cabal. And I think you're going to see a lot of the advance and charge witch cults. But I think you're going to see a good mix of armies, because even with this Codex, Coven stuff is very competitive. Well, maybe it's not competitive, but very good.
Better than it was.
Well,
7th.
Well, see, I would argue the point, because I would argue that the Coven stuff was some of the best in 7th, and people were, I don't want to say oblivious to it. You didn't see many Talus. You almost saw no Grotesques. And you saw very, very few racks. And I think there was only me, Craig from Kiblams, and I think Lawrence ran the Corpse Thief a couple of times, which was a unit of 5 Talus. But every time it killed something in combat, Lucy, you gained a victory point. It also had a -1 leadership bubble. So I would make somebody -3 or 4 leadership, charge them with the Talus, kill 1, maybe 2 models, force them to take a leadership test. Bear in mind, what you used to do is you rolled 2 dice, and you had to roll under the leadership minus your casualties. So if your leadership 10, you lost 4 models, you had to roll under 6 on 2 dice. But obviously then you're at a further -3. It's like, oh, I've got to roll a 3 or less on 2 dice. Can't. And then what used to happen is if you failed the morale, rather than models fleeing, you would run out of battle. You would fall back.
And you could fall off the edge of the table.
You could fall off the edge of the table, or if you don't know about initiative because it doesn't exist now, but it's how quick-witted you are. So obviously elves were normally like initiative 6, 7. Yeah. Space Marines were initiative 4. Guard were initiative 3. Orcs and Necrons are quite slow, so they were initiative 2. And basically I charged my 5 Corpse Thief once at Stew. I charged these 3 units of Necron destroyers. The Necrons are all leadership 10. I killed 1 destroyer in each unit, and because I had them all together with the Armour of Misery for -2, then stacked Freakish Spectacle for -3, meant he was leadership 4. And because Necrons were initiative 2, I overran them and destroyed the whole unit. Yeah. So, anyway. Covens. Master Regenicist. The Warlord heals D3 wounds at the start of each of your turns.
That's cunning.
Yep. Master Nemesine. Add 1 wound roll. Add 1 to the wound rolls for your Warlord. Master Artisan. Reroll Inuit to Suffering of 1s for all friendly Coven units within 6.
Ooh.
So basically re-rolling vulnerable saves over 1.
Yeah.
That's handy. But there's 2 that we haven't mentioned. One is the Prophets of Flesh Warlord trait for Homunculus, which is it's gain D3 additional command points, and you get 1 free re-roll on the Homunculus in the game. So you know the Pure Tide Engram chip for Tau? It gives you 1 free re-roll.
That's this.
It's that, but it gives you D3 additional victory points, command points. Which, if you're spending the 1 to have 3 Warlords, why would you not? Combine that with the other reason that I think Cabal of the Black Heart is the best. The Cabal of the Black Heart Warlord traits, I can't find its name, but what it does is you roll a dice each time you or your opponent use a command point. A command point, not stratagem. So if you use multiple ones, you get to roll like 2 dice for a 2 command point stratagem. On a 6, you get a command point back.
Yeah, I like that.
So obviously, the way we've done it, if you take the Homunculus Warlord, due to the Alliance, you're going to have either 7, 8 or 9 command points with 3 patrol detachments, regaining on a 6.
I do like that.
And I haven't mentioned any of the faction specific stratagems, but the final reason why I vote Cabal of the Black Heart, Lucy, is Agents of Vect. It's 3 command points.
It's expensive.
It is. But it's game changing.
To tell.
So, when your opponent uses a stratagem,
No, he doesn't.
roll a dice. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2 to 5, your opponent doesn't spend the command points, but the stratagem doesn't work. And on a 6, the command points are lost, and the stratagem doesn't work either.
And can it not be attempted again on a 6?
Well, you could use a stratagem to re-roll the dice if you haven't used your re-roll.
No, I mean, if on a 6, can that stratagem not be tried again throughout the entire game?
It's just the round.
Right.
So obviously, if it's a shooting phase and it's one that's like +3 to hit and ignore cover or something, and your opponent's really relying on that to pull off whatever gimmick they've got in their army, and you just go, no. And then of course you've got a reasonable chance of being able to stop it, because you can actually roll to get the command points back before, because they are spent, because this states that they're refunded. So when your opponent spends a stratagem, you roll your dice, and on a 6 you get your command points back. Then you spend 3 and you roll 3 dice in on a 6 you get your command points back. That, the reroll ones to wound for the artifact. I think that is why Cabal of the Black Heart is better.
Yeah, I do like it.
Right, so let's kick things off with the units and the Cabals. So, I've got quite a lot of Cabalite Warriors. Warriors were definitely the way to go in 7th after I bought loads of Witches just before the 7th Codex dropped. I do love Cabalite Warriors, they're very versatile. And of course we've got 2 Archons here. I've got the old Finecast Archon and I've got a model from Raging Heroes, Ashara. And we like Ashara.
Yep.
So, Archons have changed a little bit from the Index to the Codex. They now provide a 6-inch bubble of reroll ones to hit.
I like that, especially with the reroll and wounds. It's just...
With the Cabal of the Black Heart artifact. Yeah, it's brilliant. You know, Archons are great characters. They've got a Shadowfield, which is your 2-up invuln, non-rerollable. 5 wounds, they've got then the 6-up Feel No Pain. They're pretty decent in combat. They hit on 2s, 5 attacks. They've only got a 5-up save as standard. They can take the Armour of Misery, which was another artifact which I haven't gone through. But yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff that these guys can do. They still allow friendly Cabal units within 6 inches to use his leadership. So again, something very, very handy. He's only strength 3. But as you saw from the stratagems and the weapons, there's a lot of stuff we've got that can help him get more attacks and get stronger. So it did go up to 70 points. Absolutely think it's worth it.
Definitely.
Absolutely. There is a couple of rules for matched play now. You cannot take a Court of the Archon model unless you have an Archon. Which is good because the amount of people that used to take Court of the Archons just for a cheap HQ was brilliant. But you also cannot take more than 4. They do not take up a detachment slot, which is great. But like I said, you can't take more than 4 options. So basically, he's got his little rave party with him. And that's it. So, I won't go over the Court of the Archon. I don't have any myself. The models are very expensive. A shame. They are cool. But, yeah, they each do something a bit different. The Slith can tank for him. The Archon. Lamian can wound on 2s. The Medusa's got a Flamer. The Urgle's got, a few more combat attacks. They're all decent. Take them if you like them.
Yeah.
But Cabalite Warriors have changed a little bit. They dropped a point, so they're now 6 points each.
Adds up when you've got a big unit.
Well, considering you used to have 3 10s, so straight away that's a 30-point saving. Trueborn no longer exist, which was the elite version of them. You used to love the Hecatrix Blood Brides.
I did. I always used to pay for the upgrades, and now I don't need to.
Nope. So similarly, you don't really need to pay the upgrades for these. Now, a lot of people are disappointed. In a unit of 10, in a unit of 5, you can take a special weapon. So a shredder or a blaster. In a unit of 10, you could also take a heavy weapon. Most people would take splinter cannons, or if they were sitting back at Darklands.
Yep.
What you can now do is, for every 10 models in the unit, you can take a heavy weapon. For every 5, you can take a special weapon, which means that you can take 2 special weapons and a heavy per 10. It's handy to get blasters in, but
I think it's good.
a lot of people used to run Trueborn as a squad of 5 with 4 blasters in a Venom shooting out, which it was good. It's expensive, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we can't use them. We can't use them." You can take the index version. Personally, I can't see why you would. Just there's so much other cool stuff and variety that you want to use. So that is the heart of the Cabal, pun intended. We of course will look at the transports and the Ravages and stuff in a bit, but let's. Okay, so next up we have the Witches, Succubus. And on the right-hand side here, my counter's Lilith until I eventually get around to painting mine. This is, I think it's Shyala from Raging Heroes. And of course on the left there is a fine cast Succubus. And I've only got 15 witches painted, which I painted up for the Ynnari release a while back.
Yep.
Yeah, witches got
Awesome.
good. They were still decent in 8th, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you could make them very good. You can make them even better now. So let's talk about Lilith first. Now, she did have combat drugs in the index, but the whole fluff behind Lilith is she's so naturally good, she doesn't need drugs. Basically, she can beat anybody that's on drugs without them. What you can do now is simply choose a drug per turn and gain the effect of that because she is so masterful of her skills.
I like that.
Yeah, and you can change it, it's situational. Lilith is still good, especially considering her penetrating blades are -4. She's got 4 attacks and then gets an extra 2 with the main of barbs and hooks. She's only strength 3. +1 strength attack drug isn't a bad shout. And then a Warlord trait is generate 2 extra hits on the roll of a 6 to hit. Take that with turn 3, she's got +1 to hit.
Yep.
Means she's doing it on 5s. Really good. She can re-roll failed hit and wound rolls against the character. You need strength 4 for that because most of the time your characters, unless you're fighting Eldar or Guard, you know, they're going to be Space Marine characters. The toughness 4 or 5, you need that extra strength. So re-rolling hits and wounds is brilliant. In the fight phase, Witch Cult of Strife units can re-roll hit rolls of a 1 for units within 6 of Lilith. And she's got no escape as well. So you have to dice off before she can...
You can retreat.
Yeah. Quicksilver dodge. She's very quick. She's got a 3-up invulnerable save as well. Now, Succubus, I think they still need more attacks. They've only got 4. 5 wounds, hitting on 2 is not bad. Now, witches changed slightly, and this affects the Succubus as well. Their lightning dodge now gives them a 6-up invulnerable save against shooting, whereas before they never got one. They've still got the 4-up in combat though. You can reroll all hit rolls of a 1 for friendly witch cult units within 6. She's got combat drugs, and of course the no escape rule as well. The Archite Glaive is brilliant. It's +2 strength, and it's -3, but it's -1 to hit, which means if you take the Warlord trait of a 6 does an extra 2 hits, then you can never ever get it when you swing with the Archite Glaive. So it's not great. And she's not bad, she's only 50 points.
That's cheap.
Very cheap indeed. So, witches changed massively, right? So previously witches had 1 attack. They've now got 2 base. Okay? But then the Hecatribe Blade gives you an extra attack, which means you've got 3 base essentially. When they were quite a few points previously, I don't remember how many points there were, and then you had to pay more for a Blood Bride as well. So a Blood Bride was 13 points a model. You're now paying 8 points a model.
Yep, for the same thing.
Yep, so essentially you're getting a free witch for every 3 that you buy. So combat drugs, you can choose or you can roll. Obviously you can't choose the same drug more than once, unless you have chosen every one of them at least once. They've got a whole host of different weapons, special weapons that you can take in the unit. The leader can of course take agonizers, blast pistols, things like that. And razor flails, hydra gauntlets, and shardnet and impaler. Razor flails give you an extra D3 attacks. Pretty good. With -1 AP. The Hydra Gauntlet allows you to reroll failed wound rolls and gives you 1 additional attack.
That's good. I like that.
The Shardnet and Impaler has changed. So, you know the no escape roll? And you each roll a d6, and if your opponent beats you, then they can retreat at that point.
Yeah.
They now only get to roll a d3.
Ah, that's very handy.
Very handy indeed. So, witches are still really, really good. You know, they've got a decent leadership of leadership 7. You're going to see a lot of witches. Weight of dice with these girls is going to do the damage.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, 3 attacks each base, 4 for the combat drug, 5 if you double it. You know, there's going to be a lot of damage. A lot of damage coming out of these girls. And of course, combined with the transports and stuff, they're going to be very, very good. But let's move on to some other witch cult units. Okay, so next up we've got Hellions. I think Hellions are definitely a winner in this edition. We haven't used them in 8th. I think I used them 7 of them once. I think they're going to be pretty cool in the Cult of the Red Grief. So they get combat drugs, which is great. They've got hit and run, which means they can charge the same turn in which they fall back.
That's okay.
But because they also fly, they can still shoot.
No, that makes sense.
So you remember that stratagem that cost 2 command points? Yep.
Sorry, I just need to chop my thumb off.
She's cleaning paint pots as we go. That's what the little clicking is that you might have heard. Now, I like Hellions. So the movement 14, very quick. They're only strength and toughness 3, 2 attacks, and a 5-up save. They don't have any invulnerable save compared to what witches get. What they do have, though, is splinter pods, which are assault 2. Okay? 18-inch range, poison weaponry. So, the Hellglaives, which is what they use in combat, is +1 strength, no AP, 2 damage.
That's good.
It is. So you're at strength 4. Take the +1 strength drug on these means the strength 5. You're hurting stuff on 3s. When I say stuff, I mean like Marines and that you see typically. Or anything that's toughness 5, you know, you're wounded on 4s. Double it to get to strength 6. Very, very handy. Of course, if you take a big blob of these and then you're using the eviscerating movement stratagem that I can't remember what it was called, you're advancing on top of your 14 inches, and then if you're in Cult of Red Grief, you're still shooting because you've got assault weapons, and then you're still charging. And oh look, I didn't quite kill that unit after all of that. No worries, I'm just going to retreat from combat, shoot, and charge something else. The only thing with that is, obviously, if you retreat from combat, you can't advance, therefore can't reuse that stratagem. Because you can't advance when you retreat. They came down in points as well, so fantastic ones. I like them. I think they're going to be better. But let's have a look at the Reaver jet bikes. Reavers came down massive in points, Lucy. 30 points each, down to 19.
Wow.
Massive points reduction.
That is.
They also got an extra 2-inch movement, as we mentioned earlier, which means they're moving 18. They're automatically advancing an additional 8, which means that they're going 26 inches. The downside of that is their weapons are splinter rifles, which means you can't shoot. But if you take a heat lance or a blaster, then both can be shot, but you can only take 1 per 3. You've got cluster caltrops and grav talons, again 1 in every 3. So grav talon, roll a d6 each time a model with a grav talon finishes its charge move within an inch of an enemy. On a 4+, the unit suffers a mortal wound. So if you've got 9 Reavers, you can do 3 mortal wounds on the charge. It's okay, it's a nice little buff. They've all got splinter pistols, which obviously if they do get in combat is still handy. They've got blade veins in combat, which is strength 4, -1, 1 damage. They've got 2 attacks apiece as well. So
it's not bad.
Not bad at all. Blasters obviously getting better because of the d6 damage. The blasters did go up in points to 17 from 12, but I think d6 damage instead of d3 is good.
Oh yeah.
Of course, you've also then got the Heat Lance, so moving 28, you're going to be within half range to roll the 2 damage and pick the highest, but it's only strength 6. It is, however, -5.
Yeah.
Which I think that's only the 3rd weapon I've seen in the game with -5. The other one being the Doomsday Cannon on the Necron Doomsday Arc. So again, these guys have got fly, so obviously they can retreat and still shoot, but they can't charge back in. They are a little bit tougher than Hellions because they're toughness 4 over toughness 3, but they've also got 2 wounds apiece as well. And a 4+ save, which I didn't actually realise because they only ever used to have a 5+. So really, really good. I like Reavers. You're gonna Reaver spam, I wouldn't say is back, but you're gonna see a lot of Reavers.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we've got the Homunculus Covenant stuff. And what you've got here is in the middle we've got Eurion Rocca. On the left we've got the old Finecast model. And on the right we've got Nefaya from Raging Heroes. Obviously I like the Raging Hero models. I suggest you go and check them out, they are pretty cool. Racks are the troops. They're going to be the, not necessarily the bulky army, but you're always going to have some. Homunculus, +1 toughness for any Covens units within 6 inches. Very, very handy. They can take a Crucible of Malediction, but that's now been swapped to a stratagem as opposed to a piece of war gear. So it's been removed, and you can use it as a stratagem now instead. I kind of like it because it's situational. It's there. You don't have to pay any points for it, but you are paying your command points for it. They're all right. They can take hex rifles. They can snipe, but it's like 1 damage. Electro-corrosive whips, though, poison 4+, and 2 damage apiece.
That's nice.
Yep. Movement 7, so not too slow. Toughness, he's toughness 4, but he's affected by his own aura, makes him toughness 5. And of course he's got 5 up, he's got 5 wounds. Insensible to pain, 5 up invulnerable save, becoming a 4+ if you run Prophets of Flesh. Not that badly priced, and if you're running Covens, you absolutely want this. You probably want a couple to keep the toughness of your other units high, to keep them more survivable for longer. We've also got Eurion Rocca. Now, Eurion has changed a little bit. Previously, you used to be able to reroll failed saving throws for Eurion against attacks that have strength 9 or less. Sorry, less than 9. Now, he's a Stonehorn. You half the damage that he takes.
So he's a former Stonehorn.
No, now he's a Stonehorn.
Oh, yes, damage. Sorry, yes, yes.
Yep. And of course, he becomes toughness 6 himself, which isn't bad. He's got the Casket of Flenzen, which is a one-off assault 2d6 weapon. It's okay. And he's got an Icor Injector, so he can do some mortal wounds in combat as well. He's cool. He's fluffy. He's not the beat stick that he was back in 7th, but I like him. He's cool. He's a really cool model, and he's so ingrained in the fluff. Why would you not want to take him? And then, of course, we have Racks. Racks came down a point. They're not bad. They're not great. I do like them. I want to like them more. They've got 2 attacks apiece at poison 4+. They can take an Ossifactor, which wounds on a 2, -3. And if you kill something, you roll a dice, and on a 4+, the unit takes another mortal wound. They can also take liquefier guns, which are essentially flamers. The AP is -D3.
Could be good, could be poop.
And it's only strength 3.
Yeah.
It's not great. So, yeah, Racks, you know, they're pretty cool.
Good, but they're not OP.
Nope. I don't see a lot of Racks being taken other than the mandatory unit that you need for the patrol detachment. So, some pretty cool stuff starting the Covens out. But, moving on, we've now got one of Lucy's favourite models, the Talus and the Chronos.
Yay.
So they are toughness 6, 7 wounds, obviously toughness 7 with a monk nearby. Talus got changed a bit because they just didn't do enough damage.
Yeah, they're actually voted the most changed, weren't they?
Yep, they were. Warhammer 40,000 on Facebook said that these were the most changed units. Micro Scalpels became -2, and you only get 1 additional attack for having a pair of them, but they've got 5 attacks each now.
Yeah.
So that means you've still got 6 that you had before. They also got access to a new weapon, which was the Talon, like a fist. It's +2 or 3 strength, -3 AP, D3 damage, -1 to hit though.
Awesome.
So you're hitting on 4s, you're swinging at strength 8 or 9, so you're going to smash through Land Raiders even with this. And they can take a whole host of weapons on top of it. They can take twin splinter cannons, they can take a twin liquefier gun in the hand. Chain flails allow you to reroll failed wounds. Ichor injectors are still pretty cool as well. I don't know if I would take an Ichor injector and 1 micro scalpel now. Because you need 2 micro scalpels now to get the 1 extra attack. So I don't know if I would take an Ichor injector. But each time you roll a wound roll of a 6 + 4, the Ichor injector, it's D3 mortal wounds.
In addition or instead?
In addition.
That's nice.
But it's only 1 damage anyway, so if it goes through. So
I know, but are you turning your nose up with D3 extra mortal wounds?
No, I meant just the normal 1 damage.
Oh.
So Talus, I think they're very, very good. They've got a pretty big points drop. They're now 75 points base.
Yep, that's very nice.
And then, of course, if you take 2 splinter cannons, that's another 20 points on top. So yeah, splinter cannons came down 5 points as well, which was great. Chronos, they're all right. I don't think you're going to see loads of them. I've only got 1. You can reroll wound rolls of a 1 for Drukhari units within 6 in the 5 phase. He's handy to have there, especially, well, you've got that stratagem for reroll wounds on the units, but, you know, it's still handy to have him.
Oh, it's definitely worth it, I think. I would like it.
He is situational, but of course he is heavy support. You can only take 2 heavy support units. You're probably going to take 2 units of Talus.
Yeah, of course I am.
And, of course, we've got Grotesques. Grotesques did go up in points.
What?
Yeah. I think it was them and Archons were the only things that went up, but they got better. The weapons are now -2 damage.
That's better.
Much better. This is my argument for running the Covenant 12, because then suddenly they're at -3. They are tough. They've got 3 wounds. The toughness 5 base, they become toughness 6 whilst within range of a Homunculus. Oh, that was what I was going to say about Racks actually. Racks are tougher than normal elves. The toughness 4, they become toughness 5 within range of a monk.
That's good.
Yes. So toughness 5 troop choices with a 4 invulnerable. That's not bad, is it?
No.
Yeah. So yeah, Grotesques are great. You can take the Monstrous Cleaver, that was what I was mentioning there, or you can take the Flesh Gauntlet. Flesh Gauntlet's do a mortal wound if you roll a 6 to wound.
What do the other ones do?
You make an additional attack. So, 4 attacks each, 5 attacks with the Monstrous Cleaver. Now they're at -2 damage. Brilliant.
I would always go over an extra attack because your chance of rolling a 6.
Yeah.
With less dice. Yeah.
Yep. So that's it for Coven stuff. Let's move on to the Mercenary stuff. So, Mercenaries, and these are the guys that fall into categories that don't fit in with the other 3 mini-factions. None of these guys will break your allegiance, so if you want to fit these in with your witch cult list, you're still going to get your buffs. So, very, very handy. And here, of course, we've got Drazar. You like Drazar, don't you?
I do, yes.
He's changed a bit. Not too much. Basically, instead of a 6+, generating an extra attack now, he fights twice.
Ooh.
So considering he's got 4 attacks and can make an additional 2 if he uses dual blades, that's essentially 12 attacks, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s because he's within range of himself, at strength 4 for -2, one damage.
Even with 1 damage, if you like after 2 turns, 6 attacks, after 2 bouts of attacks from him, that's gonna get rough.
Yep. Or you can use his demi-claves as a single blade to give him +1 strength, means he's strength 5, -3, 1 damage. So even 8 attacks with that. But because he fights twice, you can choose one turn and then the other turn.
Ah, yes, I never thought of that.
He's got the rule Eternal Warrior, gives him a 5-up invulnerable save. Yeah, and Power from Pain. So, you know, he's not bad. He's toughness 4 as well. And at 5 wounds, he's reasonably survivable. He's also got the only 2-up armor save in the book.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, bless him.
So, then we have Incubi. Incubi are really cool. And I know we did play them wrong the first time we used them.
Yeah.
Basically, they have to be in a unit of 5 of Clavex and 4 more. They're only toughness 3, but they do hit on 3s in combat. The Clavex, the leader, hits on 2s, and he gets 1 additional attack, and he's 1 leadership higher, and he also has 2 wounds.
That's a lot for a leader.
It is. So, 3 attacks base for the Incubi, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The all-around with Claves, which is just the single blade version, +1 strength, making them strength 4, -3, 1 damage. Of course, there is the stratagem meaning that if you roll a 6 to hit, you generate an extra attack. Sorry, it counts as 2 hits. The Clavex himself can take demi-claves, okay?
Right.
Which means you can either use the single blade or the dual blades.
Yeah.
And then if he fights with the dual blades, he gets 2 additional attacks. But if he, you can add 2 to the damage characteristic of a close combat attack made by a Clavex if the attack, if the wound roll for the attack is a 6+. So that's not bad. That means 3 damage.
That's very nice.
Yep,
For just a leader, that's amazing.
yeah, he's really good. I don't understand why Drazar hasn't got that though. You'd expect him to have that as well.
Yeah.
So that's the first batch of mercenaries. The next batch is the Scourge. Beautiful models. Beautiful models. Saw them all the time before because everyone had haywire blasters glued on them. I magnetised mine, thankfully. However, I think they're still pretty decent. A lot of people like them because you can deep strike and keep them off the board. Drop them in with 4 Dark Lancers. Yes, you're hitting on 4s because you moved, but it's 4 Dark Lancers hidden off the board that you can deploy free of charge. The fact that blasters are now D6 damage, I think a lot of people are going to go for these. Haywire blasters changed. You now get D3 shots with them.
What were they before?
Just 1.
That's.
They're your vehicle killers because they're only strength 4. But if you roll a wound roll of a 4, then it was doing a mortal wound. If you roll a 6, it was doing D3 mortal wounds. So they are vehicle killers. Phil swears by shot cannons on his Hive Guard for his needs other than Impaler cannons because of that very reason.
Oh, they're the same.
They're a bit higher strength in AP and stuff, I think, but they do the same thing because it's haywire. And it's very, very useful for taking out vehicles. If you're going against Imperial Guard, for example, you're going to see a lot of tanks.
Yeah.
You know, haywire blasters are... You're going to do damage with them. It's basically poison versus a vehicle. So they do move 14. So again, you know, they're pretty manoeuvrable. And... if you've got Fire and Fade as well, you can hide them again.
Really?
Yeah, because you can just move them 7 inches after the shot with the stratagem.
Yeah.
So I still think Scourge are pretty cool. I don't think they're massively competitive. But I think, you know, there's definitely a place for them, and I think they're still going to be quite fun to use. Next up, we have a pair of Beastmasters, and I hope you just checked out the video for the custom Beastmaster there. I really enjoyed building them. Of course, that is not Khorne Flesh Hounds, I swear, and these are not fantasy dire wolves. Beastmasters did change.
They did. They went down as well, didn't they?
They went down a lot of points, about 20 points they went down. However, you cannot include a unit of beasts in your army without a Beastmaster.
Which makes sense.
It does, because everybody has been spamming Razorwing flocks, which I don't have. So I'm not that guy, I swear. But one Beastmaster can only look after one unit of beasts.
How many is a unit?
Well, it depends, because you can have Razorwing flocks, you can have Chimera, or you can have Clawed Fiends. Each one is obviously a separate unit, but you can take multiple units of them. You have to have a Beastmaster for each unit.
Yeah. How many is in a unit?
Well, Chimera you can go up to 12.
Ooh.
Razorwings, I'm not sure because I haven't looked. Razorwings have changed again, right? So, the first ever FAQ that they released, I think initially in the index the Razorwings were like 7 points for like a 3 or 4 wound model with like 4 or 5 attacks or something. It might have been even more. In fact, I've got the index here, but I know there was 7 points originally, right? And then they doubled them to 14. Now they're 12, but they've got less attacks, but they hit on a 4+ now instead of a 5+. Oh, whoa, they had 8 attacks. Hitting on 5s, movement 12. Yeah, so Razorwings have gotten a whole rework, and the whole beast thing has as well, because what people were doing, they would stick like 5 or 6 Ravages in the middle, right, and then just put Razorwings all the way around the outside, so that opponents couldn't deep strike close enough to get like melters and stuff in, and couldn't charge.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, 4 wounds a base, 7+ save, so you know you had to buff out of being covered to even get the 6 up. And Clawed Fiends, I think I've only seen Scary run Clawed Fiends. They're alright, they've got 5 attacks, hitting on 4s, at strength 5.
They're not bad at all.
They're not bad, they're not bad. Chimera's what I like though. I like them because the faster move 10 inches. Wow, Clawed Fiends move 10 as well, I didn't realise that. The 10 points each, strength 4, hitting on 3s in combat and 3 attacks apiece. They've also got a 5 invulnerable save, but watch out because they are demons.
Oh.
They're technically demons, so watch out.
How can Dark Eldar like them then? How can they be in a Dark Eldar army if they are demons?
Because they're not demons of Slanesh. I'm guessing. Why does Sigmar ally himself with demons?
He doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Let's move on.
And dead frogs and everything. So, again, a pretty improved unit here. We've got Mandrakes. You've never used these.
No.
Or you will have again by the time you guys watch this. So, they are vastly improved. And they're pretty good. So, they've got essentially Deep Strike. It's called from out of the shadows.
Right.
Set them up 9 inches away. Shrouded from sight. Your opponent must subtract 1 from the hit rolls for any attacks that target the unit. They also have a 5 invulnerable save.
That's good.
And then, of course, they'll have 6 up feel no pain. Of course, they'll also count it as being 1 turn. Oh, no, they don't. No. They don't have Cabal or anything keyword. That's one thing, actually. The Beastmasters do have the Witch Cult word.
Right.
So they do benefit. I think. I don't know, because the Beastmaster really... that might be an FAQ question. But yeah, the Mandrakes don't benefit. from any of the obsessions. They're pretty good, Lucy. So the strength 4, but they're only toughness 3. So they're the other way around to Rax, right? But they've got an 8-inch movement. They shoot on 3s. They hit on 3s in combat, and 2 attacks apiece. Their weapons are Bale Blasts, okay?
Yeah.
So it's Assault 2, so each one's got 2 shots. It's Strength 4, -2.
Nice.
And each time you roll a wound roll of a 6 or more, the target suffers a mortal wound in addition to its normal damage.
Wow.
And then in combat, the Glimmer Steel Blade is Strength User, so Strength 4, -1. And you can make an additional attack. So each Mandrake has 3 attacks and the leader has 4.
They're awesome.
80 points for 5.
Just getting better and better.
I've just bought some old metal ones to go with these Finecast ones. So yeah, Mandrakes are pretty damn cool.
You've got an awesome name.
Yep. So here we go, transports. We have a whole host of raiders. You can see here, I've got 2 different painting styles. The original ones are Zeros purple highlighted with Gene Steel purple. The newer ones, and the one on the left hand side, it looks green.
But it's not.
No, it's actually purple. And changes to green. It's Green Stuff World Flip Paint. Kind of wish I'd had this in the airbrush from the start of doing my Dark Eldar, but I'm not going to repaint my whole army. I still think the Tron effect is pretty cool.
Oh, it is.
And of course we've airbrushed all the ether sails as well. I've also got, if you look at the back there, old raiders. I think there's is there 3 old raiders? Yep, there's 4. I've got 4 old raiders. There's 2 on the right hand side there as well, which I've stuck sails on. Some of them are done in flip paint, some of them aren't. Raiders got so much better. So not only did they drop in points to 65 apiece.
Shut up.
They got better. So Splinter Rax is back. It used to give you twin linked if you shot out of it. Now, for 10 points, any splinter weaponry that is fired out of it on a 6 to hit counts as 2 hits.
Wow.
That's really damn good.
That's, yeah.
Considering if you put all splinter rifles and the cannon in there, you've got 24 shots coming out. Now, that is where the advantage of taking the Flayed Skull is, because they get to reroll 1s to hit. But your Raider is suddenly more survivable in Cabal of the Black Heart because you've got that 6-up Feel No Pain, alongside its invulnerable save of a 5+. And of course, if you spend 1 command point, you can use the jets to put this in reserve.
Yes.
Deep Strike within 12, obviously at least 9 away, and suddenly you can rapid fire all of that into something for 1 command point. Disintegrate Cannons, which mine is armed with here, also got good. So there used to be 30 points, right? There were more than a Dark Lance.
That's ridiculous.
3 shots, strength 5, -3, 2 damage.
Is that the old or the new?
That's what it is. Well, that's what it was and is. But it used to be 30 points. It's now 15. So there is the argument, of course, to support triple Dizzy Cannon Ravages, which we'll get to very soon. Yeah. But Dark Lancers stay the same, 20 points, strength 8, -4, d6 damage, but become an assault weapon whilst mounted on a vehicle. So obviously you can still advance that 8 inches with the stratagem.
Yeah, and you -1 to hit.
No. Well, you can use that stratagem, but it's 2 command points, and I wouldn't use it on a raider. So raiders, absolute brilliant. I can see a lot of reasons for taking them, especially with infantry inside of.
Yeah.
And again, I can see reasons for taking Cabal of the Black Heart, or Flayed Skull. I can see reasons for both, because the Raider gets the 6 up feel no pain
Yeah,
from support and Vect.
it's really... I love that.
Especially because you roll lots of 6s. And then next up we've got Venoms. Venoms also came down in points. Venoms themselves came down 20 points. And then Splinter Cannons... Venoms went down by 10. The Splinter Cannons went down by 5 each. So that was another 10. Meaning 20 points total they came down by. Venoms are really good. They're really fast, moving 16 inches. 2 Splinter Cannons, and of course you're going to be within rapid fire range, means 12 shots, plus transport capacity of 5. Which means most people are zipping around with Blaster Trueborn in here, but now you're going to be probably 5 Cabalites with a Blaster maybe. Again, I can see full reasons for taking them in either detachment. -1 to hit Venoms when you shoot, and a 5 up invulnerability against shooting attacks as well. Obviously, the guys inside will be rerolling 1s, as well as the rapid fire weapons, moving them 21 inches in Flayed Skull. Venoms you're still going to see a lot of Venoms. Venoms have always been great. You're going to see even more of them now that they've dropped in points. I think they're very good. Of course, both Venoms and Raiders have the Cabal, Witch Cult, and Coven keyword. So they would all benefit from their relevant detachment rules.
Yep. Which is good.
Which is very good. So, next up we've got the Ravages. Now, unfortunately, I didn't take a picture of just the Ravages. You can see here one of the old 3rd edition ones that I've got here, which is metal. And of course, I've got the newer one just off to the side. So, Ravages are Cabal only. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Because, remember what I said earlier about taking that artifact on the Blackheart Archon for rerolling one. Well, he rerolls 1s to hit anywhere, and then he's rerolling 1s to wound.
Yeah.
On Ravages, they themselves came down. They're now 145 points. No, sorry, 140 points.
That's nice.
For 3 Dark Lancers, yes, that is. So the Ravager itself is 80 points, and then obviously 60 for 3 Dark Lancers. It's 125 with 3 Disintegrate Cannons, which means 9 shots. It's Strength 5, -3, 2 damage.
Pew pew.
That will mow through Primaris Marines and Terminators. Absolutely mow through them. I think there is a lot of argument for both. Dark Lancers are good because obviously -4 AP, D6 damage, but you're only getting 3 shots. And then of course if you're hitting vehicles that are toughness 7, you're wounding on 3s. They're not getting a save. Whereas if you're using the Disintegrate Cannon, you're wounding on 5s and they've got a 6 up.
Yeah.
But you've got more shots. I think somebody on the Dark Eldar page did the math and it actually worked out about the same. So you against light vehicles, it worked out the same. So I can kind of see why people would vote for Disintegrated Cannons, and I think especially against elite infantry, it's going to be absolute key.
Yeah.
I'll press record because I've had to. Oh wait, there I can pause. So, moving on to the Forge World models. Unfortunately, the Raven no longer exists, which is a shame. It was a lovely model, very reminiscent of the old school bikers, but it was god awful. And it was dated. It still looked like the second edition Raiders. So the Tantalus, beautiful model. I never ever want to build one again though. Honestly, that is the worst model I have ever built. And incidentally enough, it was my first Forge World model. Yeah. So the Tantalus, it's toughness 7. Actually, I've just remembered something here. So you can take it as Cabal, Witch Cult, or Homunculus Covens. The Raiders also have Covens, which means you end up with toughness 6 raiders near Homunculus, and toughness 6 Venoms as a result. Of course, Venoms and raiders only toughness 5 normally, with 10 and 6 wounds respectively. The Tantalus is toughness 7 with 18 wounds. Toughness 8 if you put a Homunculus next to it. That's the same toughness as a Land Raider and Imperial Knight.
Yep.
3 up armor save, so it's got better than the 4 up of the other vehicles. Movement of 16.
For some reason I always thought that would be more.
Now, 16 is still pretty good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It excuse me, it has 2 pulse disintegrators, which are assault 6 each. 12 shots at strength 8, -3 for 2 damage.
Yeah, something's going to go bye-bye.
Well, it went up in points in chapter approved. I think it's now 400 points.
No, I meant it's enemy, whoever it was targeting. It's going to be bye-bye.
It's got a Night Shield, so it's got 5 invulnerable against ranged weapons.
Are you at -1 to hit it?
No, it's too big. If it advances, double its current movement characteristic. Don't roll. Scything Charge. If a model finishes a charge move within an inch of 1 or more enemy units, roll a d6 for each of these units on a 4+ to suffer d3 mortal wounds.
Nice.
Chariot of Tortured Souls. If your Warlord is embarked on the Tantalus, all friendly units within line of sight use the Warlord's leadership instead of their own. Line of sight. It's massive. This ability does not apply to units that are entirely on or within cover, even if they can draw line of sight. And it's open topped, of course, you can shoot out of it. Where's the transport capacity on it? It doesn't say what the transport capacity is. It'll be there somewhere, I probably missed it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, up to 16, it's further up under transport. Can take up to 16 Drukhari infantry or incubi. Grotesques take up the space of 2 models. Yeah. In combat, it has 6 attacks, hitting on 4s. It's strength 8, -2, 1 damage.
Could be worse.
I think Tantalus are still semi-competitive even before the points, even after the points change. I think a lot of people's issue with not having one is because of how difficult it is to build and obtain. But yeah, and the last of the skimmers is one that was rivaling the Ravager. However, I think the Ravager now may work out a little bit better. This is the Reaper, Forge World Reaper. I've got a Forge World one and a converted one, and one that I need to stick the gun on the front over there. So the Reaper is toughness 6, much like the Ravager. The Ravager is also toughness 6 actually. The Ravager can't benefit from the Coven keyword to get the toughness 7, but the Reaper can. Also has Cabal and Witch Cult as well, so of course you can increase its resilience with the Feel No Pain for Vect and the other obsessions. It does, however, have 12 wounds rather than 10 that the Ravager has. Yep. So he's not bad in combat. Yeah, he starts with 5 attacks and hits on force because he's got bigger scythe veins. Strength 4, -1, 1 damage. So they're all right. And again, shock prow. You can take a shock prow as well. The Storm Vortex Projector is the weapon of choice, however. You can shoot heavy D6 at strength 8, -4, D6 damage. It's nasty.
Yeah.
It's very nasty. It's the Doomsday Ark's baby brother, because that's strength 10 -5 D6 damage. Yeah, if any models are slain in the target unit, they cannot advance in the following turn. So they can't run. Slows them down.
Yeah.
Or the blast version is heavy 2d6, strength 6, no AP, 1 damage. Thought that might have been -1 AP or something, but nevertheless. Comes in at about 150 points, I think it was, or 155. So as it stands, it's slightly more than the Ravager now.
Not a lot.
Do you know what? I think a Cabal of the Black Heart one wouldn't be bad because you're rerolling ones to hit, rerolling ones to wound with the Archon. Yep. So I actually don't think one of them will be too bad. Do you want to swap one for a Ravager in the game?
Yeah.
Why not? Let's see what it does. And last but by no means least, we have the 2 flyers. The Void Raven and the Razor Wing. Both of them changing in points, both going down in points. The Razor Wing quite considerably is now only 105 points. Wow. And the Razor Wing missiles are now 3d3 shots. I think both of them have the Cabal keyword. I'm sure I checked this earlier. Cabal or Witch Cult keywords, which obviously means that you're going to benefit from your Cabal or Witch Cult rules. I'm trying to think of any that would really make a difference. Reroll poison weaponry would only really help the the Razor Wing. I can't see anything that would actually make a difference to it because all of the weapons are assault weapons. So other than the Splinter Cannon. But the Razor Wing itself dishes out some firepower. Give it 2 Disintegrate Cannons or 2 Dark Lances. Can take a Splinter Cannon on the front, and then of course it's got the missiles as well. You've got Monocyte, Necrotoxin and Shatterfield, all doing a host of different things. And the Void Raven came down nearly 20 points as well, because that Void Lance is lovely. Strength 9, -4, d6 damage. And it's got 2 of them. Yeah. It's basically a stronger Dark Lance. It's also got missiles, which are Assault D3 or Assault D6 at Strength 6 -3 or Strength 7 -1, rerolling failed wounds. And of course then you've got the bomb. Both of them have a 5 invulnerable save. Both of them are hard to hit, which means you're suffering the -1. So that stratagem on your Razor Wing for an additional -1 to hit might be very, very useful. And that covers the entire army. There's a lot of combinations in this book.
A lot of changes, points.
Yeah, points massively, about a 25% reduction across the board, just off building the army that I've done here for our battle report. So go and check the battle report out and go and check out the other Dark Eldar videos, of course. But there's a lot of exciting stuff. There's going to be a lot of different ways that you can play this army. I think, even competitively, I think you're going to see very mixed lists. I think you'll see a lot of... Sometimes you'll see a lot of the same things, but I think like a unit of 10 Mandrakes is going to be brutal.
Yes.
I think, someone who's Coven friendly, I think you'll see a lot of Grotesques. Yeah, I think witches are going to be back. I know Dan Buchanan from Hellstorm Wargaming is over the moon because he's got an entire witch cult army. He took like 30 of them to no retreat. So he's going to be over the moon at this. He's definitely going to be loving it. So I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of army overview / chat / Codex review. And I look forward to playing against and with the Dark Eldar.
Me too. Well, I don't fancy playing against them, but
They are powerful.
Yeah.
They're powerful. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you very much to everybody who supported the channel and supported via Patreon. All links can be found below. Please go and check out the rest of the channel. And we will see you again very soon.